Dr. Ilias Hart adjusted his helmet and stepped carefully over the jagged rocks. The alien planet, known to the scientific community as Virelia, stretched endlessly under two pale suns. Its sky shimmered in soft purples and blues, with clouds that moved in unusual patterns like brushstrokes of a painter who had no concern for gravity. Elias had been sent here to study rare life forms, but he never imagined that what he would find would challenge everything he knew about intelligence and compassion. The outpost behind him was small, just a cluster of metal structures connected by cables and walkways. It was quiet, almost unnaturally so. The other researchers had gone to rest after a long day of collecting samples in the strange forests that grew along the crater edges. Elias had stayed behind, restless, drawn to the rocky caves that lay beyond the northern ridge. He paused as he reached the entrance to a narrow cave. His instruments flickered nervously, detecting energy signatures that seemed alive. Elias frowned. Nothing on Virelia should be alive in this place, at least according to previous scans, but the readings were clear. Something was in the cave, and it was moving. Taking a deep breath, he stepped inside. The air was thick and slightly warm, carrying a faint smell of minerals and moisture. The cave walls shimmered faintly, as if tiny crystals embedded within them reflected the twin suns outside. He moved slowly, listening. Then he saw it. A figure crouched near a small pool of water at the far end of the cavern. It was humanoid, but unlike anything Elias had ever seen. Its skin glowed faintly, a soft mixture of silver and gold, and its eyes were large and dark, reflecting the dim light of the cave. The creature's limbs were slender but graceful, and it held itself with a careful, wary posture. It was clearly trapped, a delicate net of alien technology wrapped around its waist and arms. Elias's heart pounded. "She's intelligent," he whispered to himself. The creature, or she, as his instincts told him, seemed to understand him immediately. Her eyes widened and a soft vibration escaped her throat, a sound neither entirely musical nor entirely mechanical. "Don't worry," Elias said softly, holding up his hands. He examined the net carefully. It was not like any trap he had seen before. It seemed almost alive, tightening in response to movement. Yet he could see the mechanism. After a moment of thought, he pulled a small tool from his belt and began carefully cutting the bindings. The creature did not resist. Instead, she watched him with what seemed like trust, a trust that amazed Elias. His fingers moved quickly but gently, making sure not to hurt her. Finally, with a soft hum from the net, the bindings fell apart. The alien woman stood slowly, stretching her limbs as if testing her freedom. Elias exhaled, a mixture of relief and awe washing over him. "It's okay. You're free now." She tilted her head, observing him. Her gaze was intelligent, curious, and something deeper. Recognition, perhaps. For a moment, Elias felt a strange connection, a bridge across species and worlds built from simple acts of kindness. Then she moved. Graceful, silent steps carried her deeper into the cave. Elias hesitated. "Wait, you don't have to leave," he called softly. But she only paused, looking back once, her eyes reflecting a complex mixture of emotion. Before disappearing into the shadows, Elias stood alone in the cave, staring after her. His mind raced. Who was she? What species did she belong to? And most importantly, why had she trusted him so completely? Hours later, Elias returned to the outpost, exhausted but unable to sleep. He told the others about the encounter, careful to leave out the parts that sounded too fantastical. Yet the sense of wonder in his voice was unmistakable. Some colleagues were skeptical, others curious, but all of them agreed something extraordinary had happened. Over the next few days, Elias could not get the alien woman out of his mind. He patrolled the rocky terrain, scanning for any sign of her. His instruments occasionally picked up faint energy readings near the cave, but each time he approached, they vanished. Then the small surprises began. One morning near the edge of the outpost, he found a delicate plant unlike any known species, glowing faintly in the morning light. It seemed placed, not grown naturally. Another day, a smooth stone appeared on the main walkway, pulsing softly with warmth. Elias felt a thrill of recognition. The alien woman was leaving gifts. He tried to tell himself that it was coincidence, that perhaps some natural phenomenon caused these occurrences. But deep down he knew better. She was intelligent. She was observing him, communicating in a language of gestures and objects rather than words. The outpost staff began to notice too. Lieutenant Mara Singh, the mission's security head, was the first to voice concern. "Are you sure this is safe, Elias? We don't know what she wants." Elias shook his head. "It's not about danger, Mara, it's about trust. She came here after I freed her. She's showing us something that matters." Mara raised an eyebrow but said nothing further. She had seen Elias's determination before, and she knew better than to argue when he was convinced of something. Days passed. The gifts became more frequent and more intricate. A small crystal that hummed softly when held, a feather-like structure that reflected the twin suns in rainbow patterns, and even a tiny water plant that seemed to purify itself instantly. Each gift was a mystery, each one a silent message of intelligence, care, and connection. One evening, as Elias studied the latest gift, a small orb that radiated gentle light, he felt a presence behind him. Slowly he turned, and there she was. The alien woman stood at the edge of the clearing, just beyond the glow of the outpost's lamps. Her eyes met his, and he felt the same recognition, the same bond that had formed in the cave. He took a cautious step forward. "You came back." She tilted her head, then stepped forward a few more paces. Elias noticed something remarkable. She seemed to understand him, not just his words, but his thoughts, his feelings. For several minutes, they stood in silence. No words were spoken. Yet in that quiet, Elias realized something profound. This was not a creature to be studied, not a specimen to be catalogued. She was a being of intelligence, of emotion, capable of choice and curiosity, and she had chosen him. That night, Elias stayed awake longer than anyone else in the outpost. He sat with his instruments, studying the gifts and wondering what they could mean. The alien woman had vanished again, leaving him with the sense that this was only the beginning, that the act of freeing her had set in motion something far greater than he could imagine. He gazed at the twin moons rising over the horizon, their light casting strange shadows across the rocky landscape. Somewhere out there, beyond the cliffs and caves, she watched, and he felt it. A connection across species, across worlds, and for the first time he understood. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness could ripple across the universe, changing everything in ways a human mind could scarcely comprehend. And so the stage was set. Elias did not know it yet, but the alien woman's return was only the first chapter in a story that would challenge humanity's understanding of intelligence, morality, and the possibilities of the stars. He only knew this. He had freed her, and in doing so, he had opened a door to something extraordinary. As he closed his eyes that night, he felt a quiet hope stir within him. Whatever was coming, he would meet it with curiosity, courage, and a willingness to see beyond fear. For the first time in his life, he truly believed that humans might have something unique to offer, not just to each other, but to the universe itself. The days after the alien woman's return were unlike anything Dr. Elias Hart had experienced in his career. The outpost, usually a place of routine scientific work, now felt alive with possibilities. Strange phenomena appeared everywhere. Instruments that had been silent for weeks suddenly flickered, detecting energy patterns that seemed almost intelligent. Plants in the small greenhouse grew faster than expected, their leaves shimmering with unusual colors. Water systems purified themselves faster than the filters could explain. Elias watched all of this with a mix of excitement and disbelief. He knew he could not explain it with ordinary science. Something or someone was influencing the environment, and deep down he suspected it was her. The alien woman, the being he had freed from the cave, was leaving traces of her presence. One morning, as the twin suns rose slowly over the jagged cliffs, Elias found a delicate structure near the edge of the outpost. It looked like a small crystal tower, almost translucent, with tiny lights pulsing within it like a heartbeat. He knelt to examine it, careful not to touch it too roughly. The crystal seemed to respond to his movements, changing its glow as he moved closer. Lieutenant Mara Singh arrived behind him, observing quietly. "Elias, what is that?" she asked. "I don't know," Elias admitted, "but it's not natural. Look at how it reacts to me, I think." "She left this," Mara frowned. "Are you saying the alien woman is helping us?" Elias nodded slowly. "Or communicating. She's intelligent, Mara. She understands more than we can even imagine." Over the next several days, more signs appeared. Small glowing stones lined the pathways of the outpost. Tiny plants with unusual shapes and colors appeared near the research labs. Even the energy readings became more consistent, forming patterns that seemed like messages waiting to be understood. Elias spent long hours studying them. He tried to map the patterns, noting how they changed in response to human activity. He realized the gifts were not random. They were deliberate. Someone or something was sending him signals. And the more he studied, the more he felt that these signals contained knowledge far beyond human understanding. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the cliffs, Elias noticed a faint figure standing at the edge of the clearing. She was there watching as she had been before. Her luminous skin reflected the soft moonlight, and her eyes met his with a calm intensity. For a moment, Elias felt as though she could see every thought in his mind. He stepped forward cautiously. I think you're trying to tell me something," he said softly. "I don't know how to understand it yet, but I'm trying." She tilted her head, then moved slightly closer. The connection was quiet, almost meditative. No words were exchanged, yet Elias felt a flow of understanding pass between them. It was not speech. It was intention, curiosity, and trust all at once. That night, Elias stayed awake in his quarters, studying the patterns of the gifts. Each glowing stone, each crystal, each tiny plant seemed to carry information. Some responded to light, some to sound, and some even to thought. It was as if the alien woman had created a system to interact with human senses, slowly teaching him to perceive the world in ways he never had before. Meanwhile, the outpost staff noticed other subtle changes. Their instruments detected energy spikes that could not be explained. Communications devices sometimes picked up faint signals, almost like music, but structured in ways that resembled code. Even the environmental systems seemed to function better, as if the presence of the alien woman was enhancing the planet's natural processes. Dr. Elena Kim, a botanist, was the first to approach Elias with a theory. "I think she's not just leaving gifts," she said one morning, examining a glowing vine in the greenhouse. "I think she's teaching us. Look at this plant. It's adapting to our environment, growing faster, purifying water. This is beyond what we can do with normal science." Elias nodded. "Exactly. She's intelligent. She's showing us possibilities we can't even imagine. And she's patient. She's letting us discover them at our own pace." As the days passed, Elias began noticing subtle patterns in the placement of the gifts. They were not random. Sometimes the glowing stones formed geometric shapes. Sometimes they created sequences that resembled maps. One day he realized that a series of crystal formations near the outpost's northern edge matched the cave system where he had first freed her. He shared his observations with Mara. "Look at this," he said, pointing at his sketches. "She's guiding us back to the cave. I think she wants me to return." Mara considered his words carefully. "You think she's inviting you? Alone?" Elias nodded. "Yes, but not in a dangerous way. It's an invitation to understand, not a trap." That evening, Elias prepared to return to the cave. He carried only essential equipment: a small scanner, a datapad, and a communicator. He wanted to observe without interfering, to learn without imposing. As he walked through the rocky terrain, he noticed the subtle signs that she had left: stones glowing faintly, plants swaying as if in greeting. Every step felt like a conversation. Every signal a word in a language he was only beginning to understand. When he reached the cave, he paused at the entrance. It looked ordinary from the outside, but he knew better. The air shimmered faintly, and his instruments detected energy fluctuations that were almost musical in rhythm. He stepped inside, careful to make no sudden movements. The cave was larger than he remembered. Light reflected off the crystal formations embedded in the walls, casting soft moving patterns across the floor. And then he saw her. She stood in the center, calm and composed, her luminous skin glowing softly in the dim light. She held something in her hands, a small object gently pulsing with light. Elias approached slowly. You brought something for me?" She tilted her head, and the object glowed brighter in response. Elias felt a thrill of excitement. Whatever this was, it was meant to communicate. It was not just a gift. It was knowledge, a bridge between her world and his. He extended a hand carefully, and the object floated toward him. The moment he touched it, his datapad lit up, displaying patterns and symbols he had never seen before. They moved and changed in response to his thoughts, almost as if the object could read his mind. He realized that this was a form of communication, a way for her to share information without words. Hours passed as Elias studied the object. The alien woman remained nearby, watching, occasionally moving in subtle gestures that seemed to correct or guide him. He understood that she was not only intelligent but deeply empathetic. She knew how to teach without overwhelming, to guide without forcing. At one point, Elias stepped back and looked at her. You trust me," he said softly. "Even though we are so different, you trust me." She tilted her head again, and he felt the answer without words. Yes, she trusted him. She had chosen him, and in doing so, she had chosen humanity. When he finally returned to the outpost that night, he was exhausted but exhilarated. He carried not just the object but a sense of purpose, a feeling that his life, and the life of humanity, was about to change in ways he could not yet predict. Over the next several days, Elias continued to study the object. Each interaction revealed more patterns, more knowledge. He realized that the alien woman was teaching him about her world, about her species' technology, and about ways to harmonize with the planet rather than dominate it. Every gift, every signal, was part of a lesson in understanding and cooperation. The outpost staff noticed the change in Elias. He moved with quiet confidence, spoke with a calm authority, and seemed to carry a spark of inspiration wherever he went. Even Mara, usually skeptical, could not deny the difference. "Whatever is happening, Elias, it's remarkable," she said one afternoon. Elias nodded. "Yes, and it's only the beginning. I think she's preparing us for something bigger. I don't know what yet, but I can feel it. Humanity has a chance to learn from her, to grow, in ways we never imagined." That night, as the twin moons rose once again, Elias sat outside gazing at the stars. Somewhere beyond the cliffs, the alien woman watched, and he knew that the gifts, the lessons, and the strange signs of connection were not random. They were the beginning of a story of trust, understanding, and the extraordinary potential of humanity when guided by curiosity, empathy, and courage. Elias smiled softly. Whatever came next, he would be ready, because he had seen the first signs. And he knew that sometimes the universe rewards those who act with kindness, patience, and understanding. Days passed after Elias had deciphered the first hints of the alien woman's lessons. The outpost had transformed subtly. Plants glowed faintly under artificial light. Energy flows stabilized beyond their expected efficiency. Even the small devices Elias used for research hummed with a gentle rhythm, as if they had become part of a larger system he could not yet understand. Yet Elias knew something was coming. The feeling was not fear nor anticipation alone. It was recognition, a sense that the alien woman would return, and this time, with purpose. He had spent every free moment studying the glowing orb she had first given him, noting the patterns and trying to interpret their meaning. Each day revealed more, subtle changes that suggested messages, knowledge, even instructions. On the third morning, Elias left the outpost early. The twin suns were just beginning to climb above the jagged cliffs, painting the sky with streaks of violet and gold. He carried only his essential tools, leaving behind the distractions of the outpost. His path led him toward the valley where the first encounter had occurred, the place where he had freed her from the trap. As he approached the clearing, Elias froze. She was there. The alien woman stood quietly, her luminous skin reflecting the soft morning light. In her hands, she held an object unlike anything he had seen before. It glowed softly, pulsating in a rhythm that seemed to match his heartbeat. Elias stepped forward slowly. You came back," he said softly, not wanting to startle her. She tilted her head, her gaze calm but intense. Then slowly she extended the glowing object toward him. The air around them seemed to hum as he reached out and took it. The moment his fingers touched the artifact, Elias felt a strange warmth spread through him. Images and patterns flashed before his eyes. Cities with towers that shimmered like crystal, forests that seemed to grow in harmony with rivers and mountains, and beings moving with grace and intelligence. He realized that this was more than a simple gift. It was a living map, a representation of her world and knowledge designed to communicate with him directly. He took a deep breath. This is incredible," he whispered. "I don't know how you're showing me all this, but thank you." The alien woman remained quiet, yet Elias felt her understanding. She had chosen to share this knowledge with humanity. She had chosen him. The realization struck him profoundly. One simple act, freeing her from the trap, had opened a bridge between worlds. For hours, Elias studied the artifact. The patterns shifted in response to his thoughts, revealing energy systems, sustainable architecture, and methods of growing food that required no soil. Streams of light moved through the holographic map, showing how her civilization balanced technology with nature. He realized that she had developed solutions to problems humanity had only begun to understand. Elias could hardly contain his excitement. He carefully took notes documenting everything he could. He understood that the gift was more than scientific knowledge. It was a lesson in harmony, in cooperation, and in understanding life as a network rather than as separate entities struggling for dominance. Why? Why share this with us? He asked aloud as though speaking to her directly. Her response was quiet but clear. A faint vibration resonated from the artifact itself, conveying a thought rather than a sound. Because you acted with care. Because you showed empathy. You are ready. Elias felt a shiver run down his spine. She had judged humanity not by strength or technology, but by compassion. And in that judgment, she had found promise. Over the next several days, he returned to the artifact, each session revealing more layers of information. It was like reading a living book that changed as he learned, adapting to his understanding. He realized that her technology relied on principles humans had only barely grasped. Energy flows were treated like living systems, and machines worked in harmony with their environment rather than imposing force upon it. He shared his findings cautiously with Mara and a small group of researchers. At first, they were skeptical. "It's too advanced," Mara said one afternoon, holding a sample of the glowing crystals the artifact had generated. "We can't even begin to understand it," Elias smiled. "It's not just about understanding, Mara. It's about learning to see differently. She's teaching us how to approach the universe in a way we haven't before." Elena Kim, the botanist, was fascinated. "Look at this plant," she said, examining a small leaf that had appeared near the artifact. "It's adapting itself, purifying water as it grows. She's showing us how to work with life rather than trying to control it." Elias nodded. "Exactly. This is what I mean. She's not giving us technology to dominate. She's giving us a way to grow with it, to live in balance. Humanity has been focused on conquest for too long. This is different." That evening, Elias returned to the valley once more. The alien woman appeared again, silent and graceful. He noticed for the first time that she carried herself with a sense of patience and wisdom that seemed beyond any measure of time humans understood. "You came back," he said quietly, a mixture of awe and gratitude in his voice. "Thank you for trusting us." She tilted her head and the artifact glowed gently in acknowledgement. For the first time, Elias felt a sense of partnership, not a master and student, not human and alien, but beings working together to understand a greater truth. Over the next week, Elias continued to explore the patterns within the artifact. He discovered ways to generate clean energy, to recycle resources efficiently, and even to communicate with devices using thought and intention rather than mechanical input. Each day revealed new possibilities. The other researchers began to notice the changes as well. Their experiments ran more smoothly, energy efficiency increased, and even minor environmental systems seemed to respond to subtle adjustments with almost intuitive understanding. The outpost had become a place of quiet wonder, a small example of what humanity could achieve if guided by curiosity, patience, and empathy. One night, Elias sat outside, looking up at the twin moons. He felt a presence nearby and smiled. She was watching again, silent but attentive. He felt a deep sense of connection, a bridge between worlds that had begun with a single act of kindness. He realized something profound. She had not returned simply to give knowledge. She had returned to trust humanity, to test whether compassion could guide them to understand rather than fear or greed. And in that trust, Elias saw hope, not just for himself but for humanity as a whole. As he studied the glowing artifact under the moonlight, Elias felt a sense of responsibility. This was not just about science or discovery. It was about the future of humanity, about proving that they were capable of learning from the universe rather than exploiting it. And he understood that the alien woman had given them something far more valuable than technology. She had given them a chance to grow, to evolve in thought and spirit. That night, As the outpost lay quiet, Elias kept the artifact close. He felt its gentle pulse like a heartbeat connecting him to another world. Somewhere beyond the cliffs and forests of Veralia, the alien woman watched, patient and wise, knowing that the seeds of understanding had been planted. Elias knew this was only the beginning. The artifact contained knowledge beyond his current comprehension, and she would continue to guide them layer by layer, until humanity could see the universe not as something to conquer, but as something to understand and respect. For the first time, he understood the true meaning of the phrase that had begun to echo in his mind since their first encounter. Sometimes, the smallest acts of kindness can open the greatest doors in the universe. Weeks passed since the alien woman had returned with the glowing artifact. Dr. Elias Hart and his small team of researchers had been working tirelessly to understand its secrets. Every day, the artifact revealed new patterns, new lessons, and new possibilities. The outpost, once a simple research station, had transformed into a place of wonder. Energy systems hummed efficiently. Plants grew in ways that defied human expectations, and instruments recorded phenomena that seemed to respond to thought itself. Elias often marveled at the subtle ways the alien woman's presence influenced their work. She did not speak. She did not act in ways humans could easily understand. Instead, she guided silently, leaving gifts and creating patterns for them to follow. Each discovery felt like a step in a long, carefully constructed path, one designed to teach, to inspire, and to show the potential of cooperation between species. One morning, Elias and Elena Kim were studying a small glowing vine in the greenhouse. The plant had grown faster than any known species on Veralia, and seemed to purify water as it absorbed sunlight. Elena traced her fingers along its leaves, fascinated. "It's incredible," she said. "It's as if the plant knows exactly what to do to survive and thrive in this environment." Elias nodded. "She's teaching us to work with life, not against it. Humanity has spent so long trying to control nature. This is different. She's showing us harmony, not domination." Meanwhile, subtle energy readings began to form patterns across the outpost. Devices responded to Elias's thoughts and intentions. A small energy panel he had been experimenting with lit up when he focused on it, powering lights across the lab without touching a single switch. The researchers were astonished. It was as if the artifact had unlocked a form of understanding that connected their minds, their work, and the alien woman's wisdom. Lieutenant Mara Singh, who had been cautious since the first encounter, began to notice the changes as well. "Elias," she said one evening, examining a panel that had self-adjusted, This is more than science. This is like learning to think with her. It's intuitive, alive." "Yes," Elias replied. "She's teaching us to perceive, not just to analyze, to understand patterns in life and energy, rather than just measuring them. It's like learning a new sense, one humans never had before." The alien woman appeared more frequently now, often at the edge of the valley near the outpost. She moved with her usual grace, observing their experiments and occasionally interacting through the gifts she left behind. One day, she placed a small crystal formation near the greenhouse. When Elias touched it, the crystal projected a holographic sequence of her civilization's technologies. Floating structures that drew energy from the air, cities that blended seamlessly with forests and rivers, and devices that healed plants and ecosystems naturally. Elena gasped. These could change how we live forever. Energy, agriculture, even medicine, all of it in balance with nature. Elias smiled, but his mind raced. "And she's showing us how, layer by layer. It's not about giving us answers outright. It's about teaching us to think, to perceive, to grow." The weeks continued in a rhythm of discovery. The outpost staff adapted to the new ways of learning. They communicated with devices differently, observed patterns in plants and minerals, and began to understand the subtle lessons in each gift the alien woman left. Slowly, the team started seeing connections not just in technology, but in their approach to life itself. Cooperation, patience, and empathy became central to their work. One evening, as Elias studied a new holographic map projected from the artifact, he realized the full significance of her gift. The patterns were not just technological, they were philosophical. They demonstrated a way of living in balance with the environment, a way of creating without harming, a method of thinking that considered the consequences of every action. Humanity had advanced quickly in technology, he realized, but it had rarely considered the balance with nature or the importance of empathy and knowledge. He spoke softly to himself, as if sharing the thought with the alien woman, who watched silently from the valley. She's teaching us more than science. She's teaching us wisdom. The alien woman seemed to acknowledge his words with a subtle gesture, a slight tilt of her head, the faint glow of her skin, and a ripple of energy from the artifact. It was clear that she understood. Elias felt a deep connection, one that went beyond words or species. She had become a teacher, a guide, and a bridge between worlds. One morning, Elias led the team to experiment with a new energy system inspired by the artifact. The system was designed to draw energy from natural flows and balance it with human needs. As they worked, the artifact pulsed faintly, guiding their hands and their decisions. For the first time, every component fit perfectly. Every calculation aligned naturally. Lights powered themselves, machines hummed in harmony, and plants in the greenhouse thrived without intervention. Mara watched, impressed. "I've never seen anything like this. It's like working with intelligence itself." "Yes," Elias agreed. "Not just hers, but ours too. She's teaching us to use our minds in ways we never imagined. Together, not apart. That's the gift. That's why she came back." Even the outpost's environment began to respond. Streams that were once sluggish flowed freely, carrying nutrients to the plants. Soil that had seemed barren became fertile. The team realized that the lessons were not limited to technology. They applied to ecosystems, to balance, to understanding the consequences of every action. Elias felt a growing sense of responsibility. This was not just a gift for the outpost or for Virelia, it was a gift for humanity itself. The alien woman had shown that intelligence was not measured by strength, weapons, or dominance, but by the ability to understand, to empathize, and to harmonize with the universe. One night, Elias stayed alone at the edge of the valley, gazing at the twin moons. The alien woman appeared again, her glow gentle and calm. He spoke softly, more to himself than to her. "You've shown us the path. But can humanity follow it? Will we understand what you've given?" She watched him quietly, then extended a hand, and the artifact pulsed once more. Elias felt a deep reassurance. She believed in humanity, believed that they could grow, learn, and apply these lessons wisely. Over the following days, the outpost thrived like never before. The team worked together with unprecedented cooperation, applying the knowledge from the artifact and the lessons she had imparted. Conflicts that had once seemed unavoidable now resolved quickly, as each member approached challenges with patience and understanding. It was a new way of thinking, a new way of living, all inspired by the alien woman's quiet guidance. Elias realized that the bridge she had built was not just technological or ecological, it was emotional and intellectual. Humanity had been given a glimpse of a higher form of intelligence, one that valued empathy, patience, and cooperation above all else. One afternoon, as Elias walked through the greenhouse, he noticed something extraordinary. A small seedling, glowing faintly, had grown into a miniature tree in just a few days. Its branches stretched naturally toward the sun, its leaves shimmering with soft light. It was not just a plant. It was a message, a symbol of what could be achieved when knowledge and care were combined. He knelt beside it, marveling. This is the future," he whispered. "A future we can build if we continue to learn, to grow, and to care." The alien woman watched from the valley, her presence quiet but powerful. She had returned the gift, not just of knowledge but of inspiration. And through it, humanity had begun to understand that the greatest strength was not in conquest or technology alone, but in empathy, creativity, and the courage to act with kindness. As the twin moons rose over the horizon, Elias felt a sense of calm determination. The artifact had revealed the potential. The alien woman had shown the way. And humanity had begun to take its first steps toward a future that honored life, intelligence, and the delicate balance of the universe. Somewhere out there, in the quiet light of Virelia, she waited, ready to guide them further, ready to show the next gift, the next lesson, the next step in a journey that could change everything. Elias smiled, looking at the glowing artifact beside him. The connection was clear and the message was simple. Humanity had the potential to rise not through domination but through understanding, cooperation, and compassion. Months had passed since the alien woman had first returned with the glowing artifact. Dr. Elias Hart and his team had learned more in that time than humanity had in decades of conventional research. The outpost on Veralia had transformed from a small research station into a living laboratory of innovation and understanding. Plants thrived in harmony with the energy systems. Technology worked with nature instead of against it, and the very way the team approached problems had changed. Elias often reflected on how it had all begun, with one simple act of kindness. Freeing the alien woman from the trap had set in motion a chain of events that had brought humanity closer to understanding not just her world, but the universe itself, and now the culmination of her lessons was about to be revealed. One morning, Elias walked to the edge of the valley, carrying the artifact carefully. The alien woman stood waiting, her luminous skin glowing softly under the twin suns. She held a small, radiant object in her hands, one that pulsed with light stronger than any gift she had left before. Elias felt a sense of awe and anticipation as he approached. She extended the object toward him. This time Elias did not hesitate. He took it gently, feeling its warmth spread through his body. The artifact responded instantly, projecting a holographic map that expanded far beyond the outpost or even the planet itself. Stars, galaxies, and distant worlds appeared, connected by lines of light that pulsed like living veins. Elias gasped. This is incredible. It's the universe itself. The alien woman remained silent, but Elias understood. She was giving humanity a gift of perspective, a vision of the cosmos, showing how life and intelligence could exist in countless forms, connected across unimaginable distances. The artifact revealed not just locations, but principles, ways to create harmony, to sustain life, to communicate and learn across species without conflict. Elena Kim and Mara Singh, who had accompanied Elias, stared in amazement. "It's beautiful," Elena whispered, "and it's peaceful. She's not showing us weapons or power. She's showing us connection." Elias nodded, feeling a profound sense of gratitude. "She's giving humanity a choice. We can use this knowledge to grow, to cooperate, to understand, not to dominate." Over the following weeks, the team studied the artifact intensely. Its teachings extended beyond energy systems and plants. It showed them methods to communicate across light years, strategies for sustainable colonization, and ways to foster understanding between species. Every pattern, every projection, carried the wisdom of a civilization that had learned to thrive without conflict. The alien woman continued to observe, sometimes leaving subtle gifts to guide their understanding. A small crystal might appear near the artifact, projecting a lesson on balance. A glowing vine might grow across the lab floor, demonstrating a principle of growth and adaptation. Slowly, Elias realized that she was teaching them not just science, but philosophy, a way to think, a way to live, and a way to engage with the universe responsibly. One evening, as the twin moons rose above the horizon, Elias stood at the edge of the valley with the alien woman watching silently. He held the artifact close and spoke softly. "I understand now. You've given us more than knowledge. You've given us a path to be better, to rise not through conquest but through understanding." The alien woman tilted her head, and the artifact pulsed gently, as if acknowledging his words. Elias felt a surge of hope. For the first time, he truly believed that humanity could meet the challenges of the universe not with force, but with empathy, intelligence, and cooperation. Months turned into a year, and the outpost continued to flourish. The lessons from the alien artifact were applied carefully, tested and refined. Energy systems were perfected to work with the planet's natural flows. Plants and ecosystems adapted in harmony. Even human relationships changed. The team worked more closely, communicated more openly, and respected each other's ideas and insights. It was as if the alien woman's presence had extended not only to technology and biology, but to the human spirit itself. Elias realized that the artifact had another purpose. Beyond knowledge and technology, it had the power to inspire growth, understanding, and hope. It showed humanity what was possible when intelligence was guided by compassion and curiosity. One evening, as he studied the glowing maps projected from the artifact, he noticed a pattern emerging. Lines of light connected Earth to Veralia, then to other planets in distant star systems. It was not just a map. It was an invitation, a way for humanity to reach out, to connect and to learn from civilizations across the cosmos. Mara, standing beside him, looked at the projection in awe. "Do you think they're waiting for us? Other intelligent species?" Elias nodded slowly. "Yes, and now we're ready. We have the understanding, the empathy, the willingness to learn. She's given us the chance to take our place among the stars responsibly." The alien woman appeared once more, standing at the edge of the valley. This time her posture was relaxed, almost serene. Elias realized that she had completed her gift. Humanity had learned the lessons she had intended to teach. She had tested their compassion, their curiosity, and their ability to grow without fear or greed. And now she could trust them. Elias spoke softly, not knowing if she could understand words. "We will honor your gift. We will learn. We will grow. And we will share this knowledge wisely." The artifact pulsed one final time, projecting a brilliant wave of light across the valley. Elias felt a connection, not just to the alien woman, but to the universe itself. It was a reminder that intelligence, compassion, and understanding could bridge worlds, species, and even galaxies. In the following months, the outpost became a center of learning and inspiration. Knowledge from the artifact was carefully shared with Earth, always emphasizing harmony and responsibility. Humanity began to approach the stars with a new mindset, one guided by curiosity and empathy rather than fear and domination. Elias often returned to the valley, gazing at the horizon where the alien woman had watched. Though she no longer appeared daily, he felt her presence in every lesson, every gift, and every discovery. Humanity had changed, and he knew it was only the beginning. One night under the twin moons, Elias stood alone at the edge of the valley. He held the glowing artifact and whispered, "Thank you for trusting us, for showing us what we could become." Somewhere beyond the cliffs, he imagined her watching, her luminous skin reflecting the moon's light, and he felt certain that she would continue to guide, to observe, and to share wisdom with those who were ready to listen. Humanity had been given a gift that changed everything, not just technology or knowledge, but perspective, understanding, and hope. And through it, they began to realize that the universe was not a place to conquer, but a place to learn, grow, and connect. Elias smiled, feeling a deep peace. The journey had begun, and humanity had taken its first true step into a future guided by compassion, intelligence, and the extraordinary potential that had always been within them. The alien woman's gift had opened a door to the stars, to understanding, and to the promise of a universe where humans could rise not by force, but by empathy, wisdom, and the courage to embrace the unknown.